This is a video I wish I never had to make. It is with the heaviest heart that I have to inform you that the Poland Ball comic artist, YouTube content creator, and treasured part of this community for many years, known to all of you as Brain4breakfast, has passed away, and it falls on me to deliver the news. This eulogy is made both for the Reddit Poland Ball community and for the following he had on YouTube who might not be familiar with it. So I guess I'll have to give you all some background. A lot of people watching this video only know about Brain4breakfast through the educational videos that he made on YouTube, where he was becoming a fast rising name and had gained over 100,000 subscribers in a fairly short amount of time. But before that, he spent years and years being a member of Reddit's Our Poland Ball, the internet's central hub for Poland Ball comics. And for a long time, he's been part of the moderator team and running the page, together with me and a bunch of other people from all over the world. He's made some of the most memorable and well-known comics of all time, including the first gigantic Poland Ball map of the world that has now become an annual collaborative effort in the subreddit. Over the years, a more tight-knit community has also evolved among the subscribers of Our Poland Ball, and through that, I actually had the privilege of meeting Brain4breakfast in real life on several occasions. I've always admired him. He's been nothing but a pleasure to interact with and work together with, and I considered him a friend, which is why this is so hard. In the middle of February, the moderator team of Reddit's Our Poland Ball were contacted by Brain4breakfast's brother, who let us know that he had passed away suddenly and unexpectedly. He also said that his family needed some time to mourn in peace and asked us to keep the information private for the time being, which we of course respected. I'm not going to lie. It's been hard not being able to tell anyone about this for the past 2 months, seeing the people who knew him online talking about him and not knowing that he was no longer with us. But we understood that the needs of his family had to come first. Now, however, we have received the go-ahead to make the news of his passing public, and since he was such an important part of this community, we feel that all of you deserve to know. Brain4breakfast will leave behind a void that cannot be filled. His passion for his craft and his creative drive was second to none. But what I will remember him most for is his kindness, his thoughtfulness, his desire to create and foster a global community, but among all else his willingness to lift up those around him and help them reach their potential as artists and as people. He helped me as well. Back when me and Anna started our little Let's Play channel here, I was trying to come up with any way I could to get our channel noticed, so I contacted him and asked if we could be on his list of featured channels in the sidebar of his YouTube channel. He wrote me back pretty quickly and just said, "Nah mate, that won't give you any traction. No one ever looks at those." And then he said, "I have a better idea," and asked if we wanted to do a collaboration video with him. And in return, we'd get a portion of the video where we would get to do an advertisement for our channel. It was an amazing thing for him to offer, and it's been so important for us, and he didn't need to do that. There wasn't really anything in it for him other than doing a favor for a friend, but he thought nothing of it. And that's the kind of person he was. If you believed in yourself, then he believed in you as well, and he would help you. He wanted to succeed, but he wanted to succeed in a way that would let those around him succeed as well. And succeed he would have. We all could see it. He was so good at creating opportunities and making the most of them, and he was right on the doorstep of becoming a big name on YouTube when he left us. And in a way, that's what makes the whole thing feel so unfair. We all wanted to witness his rise to greatness together with him, to see his hard work being rewarded, and now we won't get to. We're all left with the feeling that it was too soon. He had so many things he was supposed to do, so many things he was supposed to teach us, and we can't help but feel that the world has become a lesser place than it was. But we must go on, and we will do so by honoring him and his legacy. We're going to add a permanent memorial to Brain for Breakfast in our subreddit design, and through community projects we are going to collectively finish some of the work that he left unfinished. He had a comic series he was making called Adventures of the X Countries, where he went through the entire alphabet of A, B, C, D, etc. That he never got around to completing. And we're going to make sure that comic series gets finished by members of the Reddit community. Additionally, I've been made aware that he had other video collaborations in the works with other comic artists, with possibly as many as 4 complete scripts for videos floating around among them. I'm going to see if maybe I can help make those final videos a reality in his honor. There's going to be more things as well, but we'll work out exactly what together with the community he leaves behind. Now, I and the rest of the mod team have had some 2 months now to process all of this already, but we understand that all of this is shocking and terrible news for all of you. Believe me, I know how it feels. We in the mod team are going to be present in the Reddit comment section for all of you, in case you feel like you need someone to talk to. Finally, I leave you with this. We've already reached out to some of the more long-time members of the community and asked any who wanted to share their thoughts about his passing as well. A lot of them have sent me their own eulogies for Brain for Breakfast, some with videos and others with audio recordings. I'm going to end this video by sharing all of those thoughts and words for him from all around the world. And if you who are watching this video want to voice what Brain for Breakfast meant for you, or how his comics or videos have affected you, please leave a comment and share your thoughts either in the Reddit post or in the YouTube comment section of this video. I know that his family is going to read all of it. I miss you, Brain for Breakfast. We all do.
If there was ever anyone in the Poland Ball community who is a true embodiment of the Poland Ball spirit, Brain for Breakfast definitely stands out among the crowd. He was always passionate about world issues and cultural exchanges, and this is evident by his activities through his comics, his YouTube channel, and from what I've heard, his real life too, like traveling and meeting people from other countries. I never got the chance to meet him in real life, although many in the community were lucky enough to have met him. I've never heard him described other than being a funny and lovable guy. As a Poland Ball artist, you can always count on him to be supportive and give you feedback and suggestions, even when you draw and write about less popular countries, which I did a lot back then. He even embarked in perhaps the most ambitious Poland Ball project in history, where he planned to make a comic of every country alphabetically. But if anyone could accomplish it, it would be Brain for Breakfast. I've heard from countless people that Brain for Breakfast's work is a huge influence, inspiration, even the reason they got into Poland Ball and become interested in world issues and geopolitics in the first place. Brain for Breakfast's passing is a huge loss to the world, let alone the Poland Ball community. So let it be known that his life is a light that has touched and inspired the lives of more people than he would have known. We cherish you dearly in our hearts, Brain for Breakfast, and rest assured that you'll never walk alone.
After I'd sort of processed the initial shock after hearing about what had happened to Brain for Breakfast, I was just struck by how horrifically unfair this whole horrible situation was. I mean, not just because he was so young, but because he had so much more to give, both artistically and intellectually. I started browsing Poland Ball back in 2014, which was around about the time he did the world map entirely by himself, drew every single country in the world in meticulous detail. And it was amazing. The whole sub went completely wild about it. And that was something that always struck me about his work, was just how meticulous he was in his details, just how passionate and driven he seemed to be. And that's what made me have so much respect for him as a submitter. I just always loved to see his comics there. Like, they'd be witty, they'd be satirical, they'd be outright silly. Like, you had America stabbing itself in the head with a pickaxe, England being flung through the air in a frying pan. And it's just terribly sad that we won't get to see that happen anymore. And that the community as a whole will just never be the same again. And if this is the loss that an internet community feels towards a stranger, the feelings of loss that must be felt by his family and friends and anyone else who loved him must be completely immeasurable. And my thoughts are with them for that. But at the same time, I think we should be immensely grateful for the many things he has left us, and we should continue to enjoy them, continue to share them with the world, and keep building a community that he'd be proud of, basically.
So, I'm still kind of in shock about hearing about Brain4breakfast passing. Deeply saddened by the news. He's a really cool, open, warm guy, and it's a joy to actually meet the guy in a couple of meetups that we had for the group. And it just makes it even more painful to learn about this news. But at least some of us had the opportunity to meet him and enjoy his company, because he's a very enjoyable person to be around. Funny, warm, witty, very quick-witted. And it's just, like I said, he's just such an open character. You can get along with him so easily. And he really will be missed by me and everyone else he has met, or like directly or indirectly. And it's definitely a hard loss to for us to measure. He will be missed, and I will miss him. That's for sure.
Something I will remember about Brain4breakfast is he was always like the cheeriest guy in the room, like always smiling, always laughing, talking to people, and always like the first to really like have no inhibitions, just this do it attitude, Like once he was visiting my hometown, like with a bunch of other Poland ballers, and we went to this karaoke place, and he was the first one of us to actually go on stage and do a song. Like, he broke that wall. Like, we were all nerds and should really want to do it, but yeah, he just went and did it, and did an AC/DC song, I think, and that was Brain4breakfast. Fuck.
Needless to say, Brain4breakfast's loss to the world and his family is immeasurable. Judging by my own experience, which was interactions on the internet, merely on the r/Polandball community, and eventually as a fellow member of the moderation team, if I had to define him in one word, it will probably be enthusiastic, or rather passionate. Because he was definitely passionate about making silly comics as a means of making people laugh. He was passionate to the point where even the comics format was too short for all the ideas he had in his head, and he had to pioneer and venture into a whole new world, which were YouTube videos. He was also passionate about football. I guess it's a public knowledge thing. He was a massive Liverpool Football Club supporter. And that's how he was. He was a super funny, passionate guy. It even reached the point when, once upon a time, I remember very fondly when he filmed himself walking through the streets of somewhere in England, talking to the camera, to to the rest of the pole and ball moderation team, suggesting us, I don't remember what now, to be honest. I even had a chance back then to collaborate on different projects. On one art piece for the Advent calendar. The result was merely a silly postcard, but it was much fun nonetheless. And the other one was, I giving him a hand reviewing the script for what would become the video of the Lithium Triangle. It's really, really sad to come to terms with the fact that he's sadly no longer with us. He was a super passionate guy who had definitely found his true vocation, which was being an educator. In this case, by the means of making cartoonish, silly history videos on the internet. And it's a very, very sad loss that hopefully, considering the impact that merely knowing of his passing within the smaller, tight-knit community that he helped to build, I can't help but send my deepest condolences to his real-life family, friends, and acquaintances, because losing such a valuable person is surely an immeasurable pain. And I can't help but wish that may his memory become a blessing, and that he is always remembered fondly for all what he was, and for how passionate he was about creating things and educating people.
I didn't know him as well as others. I didn't speak to him as much as others. But it would be impossible for me, for anyone, to not recognize Brain4breakfast's importance to the pole and ball community. He was undoubtedly one of these central pillars of the community, so when news came that he was no longer with us, I was shocked. He was just one of those pillars that weren't supposed to fall, you know. And this was only strengthened by his own comics and art, which now stand as relics and memories of his great talent and humor. Though he eventually didn't appear on the pole and ball subreddit as much anymore, in favor of YouTube, where his talent shined equally bright, I'd say, his reputation held solid, and the void that can't be filled will remain where he once stood. We can all rest assured that he will not be forgotten. I send my sincerest condolences and thoughts to his family and his closest. May he rest in peace, hvile i fred, Brain4breakfast.
It's not easy to summarize the memory of someone like Brain4breakfast. Someone who had such a huge impact on a community in so many different ways. My best memory of him was when I worked with him on the pole and ball world maps in 2016 and 2017. He had a professionalism and an ability to organize the work of 50 people that was absolutely stellar. We still use the process that he set up from scratch to make the world maps today. He was what you would consider to be a serious person in his commitment to his projects, something that showed in his work ethic producing videos for YouTube and the effort that he put into his art and storyboarding for pole and ball comics. In addition to being a serious person, he was also a great entertainer. Over the years, he made us laugh so many times with comics that had lighthearted jabs and gut-punching dark humor and everything in between. And he took this skill with him to his YouTube channel, where, in between insightful analysis of history and geopolitics, there were little jabs and visual gags that made you chuckle while you learned. And you would learn, because on top of being a serious person and an entertainer, he was also an educator. His YouTube channel was genuinely something special, a place where he combined beautiful analysis with lovingly illustrated jokes. He did this without pushing his beliefs on anyone, political or otherwise, and he always did his research. Maybe most impressive of all, though, was that he was able to teach ideas that must have come from great amounts of study and research and package them in a smooth and simple way that told a great story. It showed off a kind of deeper understanding that you don't see very often. But on top of being a serious person, and an entertainer, and an educator, he was also just a great person. He was polite to his fans, he was an understanding moderator, even to the people whose comments had to be removed, and he never shied away from making fun. I don't know what the future might have held for this brilliant, hardworking, and lovely man, but I have to imagine that it would have been nothing short of incredible.
My initial reaction to the news was that I wouldn't be able to post a comic, which might be considered inappropriate in the circumstances, but I really feel very bad for thinking that, because over the last few days now I've started to really think, B4B was a legend, obviously, in the community, like I said in the comments, very one of the few people who's managed to kind of turn this kind of hobby into basically living, creating very informative, educational and humorous videos for YouTube. Really, really going his own way. I don't know, obviously, whether that was his only job or whatever, but obviously really smart guy and brought a lot of education and enjoyment to many, which is more than probably most people in the world can say. And really, I hope it makes people think, like it certainly made me think of the last few days, like, he's only a tiny bit older than me, by a year or two really, and I just hope he did a few of the things he wanted to do with his life, and he enjoyed it as he could. And I really hope that other people maybe think about it, take a minute to meditate on it, and try and live your life well.
Not only was brain4breakfast a highly talented comic artist who had an appealing cutesy art style and a brilliant sense of writing, he was a keen educator who was passionate about spreading knowledge to as many people as he could. His videos teach us important lessons in history and geopolitics, done in an easily accessible and approachable way that many viewers can enjoy. His delivery of educational content was so engaging that viewers could laugh, enjoy themselves, have a good time, and gain happy memories, all while learning important information about the world around them. From what I heard, he was not just passionate about spreading knowledge through the internet, but offline in his real-life actions too. He was out there teaching, informing, bringing knowledge to many people, as it was his noble pleasure to do so. While many people will regard education as a tiring process, brain4breakfast made it his mission to make learning fun and engaging. Passionate and creative educators like brain4breakfast are role models in this world. They help inform people around them to remove ignorance, think critically, and examine their places in society, influencing them into making more socially conscious decisions that is beneficial for their own communities. Let us all learn from brain4breakfast's example to be champions of lifelong learning about our precious world, and use the knowledge we gain to ultimately bring positive changes to the societies that we belong in, just as he has.
brain4breakfast, I sadly didn't have the chance to know you well, and I don't know much to say, but rest in peace, chap.
G'day, my name's Vorsy. I'm a moderator on r/Polandball. I was lucky enough to moderate alongside B4B, and actually I was one of the few people in the community who got the chance to meet him in real life. He is an incredibly well-respected guy. Intelligent, funny, considerate, charming. It's a shame I didn't get to spend more time with him, because he was a really amazing person, and it's an absolute shame that he's no longer with us. If any family are listening, I just want to say that it might be hard trying to sort of conceptualize all these people coming across the internet, strangers from the internet talking about your loved one, but I think it's special that he was so well regarded and there are so many people who loved him. I think it's really special that he had an impact on so many people, strangers even. And I consider myself very fortunate that I got to meet such a great guy. I'm not a very sentimental person, but rest in peace. And I wish you and your family nothing but the best. And I know I'll miss you. So, love you, mate.
This is my final farewell to Brain for Breakfast. The world is a sadder place without him. The silver lining for all of us is that while he was here, he made it a better place. Through his comics, which were hilariously funny, through his videos, which were fantastically well made and informative, and through his travels around the world, broadening his own horizons and teaching others along the way. I've had the pleasure of meeting him in person several times, traveling through Europe together. I found few people who are as easy to get along with as he was. I have fond memories of decorating the wall in a Polish bar together with him and a couple of others, drawing the original Pull and Cannot into Space comic with the friendly permission of the staff, of course. Last year, me and Nick collaborated with him on one of his videos, and that gave me some insight into the staggering amount of work that goes into making them. And I have nothing but the profoundest respect for what he did and the work he did. I know that he had several more projects in the pipeline, and that just really drives home the point and the fact that he had so much more to say and do. During the making of our collaborative video, I kept thinking that I was letting him down, that I was bringing the quality of his great work down, and that I was doing awfully. And in the meantime, Brain for Breakfast was helpful, encouraging, and patient. And I remember him being the same way as a moderator when talking to people, submitting approval requests for the Pull and Ball subreddit. He's a great guy, a funny guy, and anyone who aspires to be a little more like him will come out the better for it. But he wasn't just my internet buddy. He was a son, a brother, and a friend to people who know him a lot better than I did. And I cannot begin to comprehend what they must be going through, how they must feel right now. But they're in my thoughts, and I hope they're doing well. Goodbye, Brain for Breakfast. You will be remembered.
Hi, this is AintThatADaisy from Arizona. I just wanted to send a quick message to the family and friends of Brain for Breakfast. I'm so sorry for your loss, and I wish you the best as you move forward from this tragedy. My family has recently been through something similar, and it's been pretty hard for us. It was right before the holidays. We had a family member pass away suddenly. He was in his early 30s, but with support, we've been getting along okay. And so I wanted to offer my condolences and some reassurance that Brain for Breakfast was loved and appreciated by a much larger community on the internet. And I'm a part of that community through the Pull and Ball subreddit and recently became a moderator alongside Brain for Breakfast. While we weren't terribly close friends on the subreddit, through the years I've participated in this community, I learned that he was an educator, and not just any educator. Through his videos and his comics, you could feel the true passion he had for learning and for sharing the things he learned. I'm actually an educator myself, and this natural aptitude for lifelong learning is something I very much admire and wish I had more of, because, as many educators know, people who love to learn really do make the best educators, and Brain for Breakfast was certainly one of the best, spending his free time researching and making these videos and comics and putting hundreds of hours into them. That's an awesome dedication. And it's tragic we have lost so much of the things he might have taught us, and not just the people watching his videos or reading his comics, but all his future students or viewers of his future works. That being said, I'm still extremely grateful for having crossed paths with such a passionate and natural teacher as Brain for Breakfast. Even in the academic world, you don't come across that type of person too often. And when I go into my future lessons or feel tired or burnt out from my students, I hope I can take some of that passion and dedication I saw in Brain for Breakfast and help, keep that curiosity and that love of learning alive, for as long as I can. I also wanted to mention that alongside being an amazing educator, I think Brain for Breakfast showed some amazing courage and self-confidence and just in the fact that he was able to merge his online community with, the people he knows in person. Because the internet's, kind of this really strange place where you can find these funny, different little things or communities, and, maybe you get really into them and love them and spend a lot of time on them and, become a part of the community. But because it's the internet, you can still keep it separate and even secret from your life and from the people you know off the computer. Unfortunately, I'm one of these people who does keep my Reddit life separate and secret from my family and friends, hence you're hearing my voice and not seeing my face. Even though I really do love both and would love to be more open about it with people I know in person, I've yet to build that self-confidence and courage to do that. Brain for Breakfast, he had that courage and that self-confidence, and he didn't hide his kind of funny little hobby. He brought it fully into his community off the computer, or, because of this, I really see him as a champion of pole and ball. He wasn't embarrassed by it or afraid of what other people might think. He embraced it and made amazing things with it. He had such great self-confidence, and I know that he would have done so much more for himself and the pole and ball community if we hadn't lost him so soon. Still, I'm very happy and extremely thankful that we were able to have him in our lives in this community for the time we did. He's done what a lot of us couldn't, and that's really something to admire and remember him for. Anyway, I wish you all quick healing during this tragedy, and I hope you can find some comfort in the fact that Brain for Breakfast will be very fondly remembered by me and many other people across the world. Good luck.
Brain for Breakfast. I have no idea who he actually is. No idea how about to feel about his passing. I'm not sure to really bad wording. Not sure how to feel about his passing. I don't think I have ever been very involved with him, but he was always there, and he's also one of, well, I don't pick fights, but I don't think I ever had any disagreement with him. And that's pretty rare. He was a good guy. And I don't mean that in the sense of a pushover or someone afraid to afraid of confrontation or anything like that. He was always there. Now he's not. And it makes me sad. Cheers.